So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the live breaking the cycle of overwhelm for CEOs. Um, Good evening. As I said, hope everyone is doing well. So, I am Selina, leadership strategist and founder of Caterpillar to Butterfly, and I help CEOs and business leaders lead with clarity, confidence, and calm. So, for those that don't know you, hello, whether you're watching live or on the replay. Do say hello in the chat and let us know where you're joining from. So, as I said, the first check in for everyone, how are you feeling this evening? Write one word in the chat or comment below if you're watching this, as I said, on the replay. Let us know how you are feeling just to get us ready. Whether you're energized, whether you're feeling curious, whether you are stressed, or however you are feeling this evening or morning, depending on where you are in the world, let us know. So, as I said, welcome to today's live. And as I said, whether you're watching this is brought to you today. As I said, it's all about overwhelm. So, overwhelm, as we know, isn't just a feeling; it's something that we all experience. And again, it's a neurological response. So, it happens in our brain. Again, different stresses, different things can cause stress. And our nervous system goes into what we call fight, flight, or freeze. So, again, it's not something that we imagine, it's not something that's made up. It is a physical, body, biological, scientific result, as well as being emotional and something that we feel. And as leaders, it can really affect how we make decisions, how we work, and again, kind of stop our flow to creativity as well. And we know, as I said, this is a really important thing. So, in today's live or today's video, what we're going to be talking about, as I said, is about how to break the cycle or at least be aware when those feelings come up and develop some tools to be able to support you or support you on that journey when they come up. So this is going to be, as I said, about 20 minutes, um, maybe a little bit more. And as I said, she's going to be taking you through some exercises as well. So this will be something that you pause the recording if you're watching it later on, and then, as I said, take some time to go through the exercises that add to your toolkit. So, going back, as I said, without further ado, so research shows us that when we feel or experience chronic overwhelm, so on it ongoing overwhelm, it floods our brain with stress hormones, so cortisol. Cortisol levels go up, and then it can help our memory, our focus, and immune function. So that's where we get the brain fog. That's where we feel hazy. That's where we feel kind of again that inability to be able to function. That happens to us as well, and sometimes we can put it to the side or ignore it or pretend it doesn't exist. Um, and when we do that, it not only, as I said, leads us to that feeling of burnout, but also it stops us, especially as a leader, a business owner, or kind of in our capacity to be able to really connect. It stops us from being present. It stops us from being creative, and it stops us from having the fun, and really making the impact that we want to as well. So, as I said, if we're not careful, when we don't pay attention, it can really, really, really get in the way of things as well. So, little check in to start with. Have you ever noticed that when you get in that feeling of overwhelm, I don't know about you, but we stop being able to think straight. Our head goes all over the place. We might feel it in our body. I don't know about you. Let me know in the comments, or if you're watching afterwards, comment where do you normally feel it when you feel overwhelmed, when things start to become too much? Is it in your head? Is it in stomach? Is it in chest? Do you start to get that sort of sinky feeling, or where does it come up for you? As I said, I know for me, it's usually chest and head, and then we start feeling kind of woozy, not thinking straight as well. So again, it's a physical thing, but also it's emotional, and it embodies in different places. And again, as I said, if you're interested in the science kind of behind this, there are various texts and places that you can look at, and one of them is Dr. Dan Siegel, and it talks about obviously the brain, the amygdala is our kind of sort of that part of the brain. As I said, that's like the alarm. So also, overwhelm is telling us maybe when we need to check in, when we need to step back, or also just kind of when things are feeling like they are a little bit too much. So again, thinking about what the best course of action to do from that stage. So as I said, this is something that I've experienced. I do still, and it's having that awareness when it comes up. So again, in my case as well, like all of us, we're really passionate about what we're doing and working really hard, feeling kind of quite under pressure. And again, that could be self imposed pressure, it could be that feeling. I know sometimes when you don't want to let people, situations, things down, or you're trying to be too perfect. Or again, your inner child, our inside is really speaking. So again, it can help us make us feel really disconnected. And I know in my journey, I've definitely felt that disconnection. So it's really important to understand what overwhelm looks like for you. So for me, again, it could be knowing when I start to take on too much, knowing when the body starts to talk, and again, that you're maybe not as present kind of to situations, that you feel it in your body, you feel it in your mind, maybe boundaries. You're saying yes, but actually you should be saying no, and you need to take a step back. Or I always describe it as that feeling of autopilot. You're just doing things without thinking. It could be that again, I've experienced this in the past, you're working with a team maybe, or you're not really as present as you need to be within that situation. You could feel that disconnect. Not having the right systems as well, as I said, has definitely been something. And self-care and patterns, like I know for me, patterns and routines go out of the window if I start getting into that feeling of overwhelm. So for me, it's been about having really good structure, good systems in place that really support creativity, but also allow kind of that routine, that stability to be in place. So, again, kind of if you've ever felt that you were close to burnout, or you felt stressed or whatever, again, in the chat, or if you're watching this, do comment. Would love to hear more about your experience. So again, obviously everyone is different, and we all experience slightly different things, but there are again three signs of overwhelm that you can look for as well. So again, and as I said, these are maybe look at your own, so you can start to put the right processes and things in place. So again, number one situation is your diary packed. So you're not really moving forward, but you're busy, but not productive. You're busy for, as they say, you're using lots of hours, but you're not necessarily feeling like there's momentum. You're not necessarily feeling like there's growth, but every day is full. And as I said, you can't see the wood for the trees. So it's just a lot happening, and it kind of feels woof, like it's all just coming, but it's not necessarily moving in the right way. Now, the number two way that, or challenge that leaders often come against, is you're putting out constant fires. So it literally just feels like you are batting, 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 batting. Now, obviously, as leaders, it is always about making decisions. Part of a leader's role is making decisions for your team, in your business, in your role, or whatever the situation comes up. But there's sometimes where it feels kind of like you are under pressure and up against the wall. And again, there's that lack of connection. There is that sort of feeling of, oh, if this doesn't happen, or if this happens, I'm, there's going to be these consequences. Obviously, there will always be that, but when it feels kind of that level of negative, and it just feels like everything is constantly on your head, and there's literally no thinking time and no space. And we're going to talk about how to overcome these in a little while as well. Or again, the third way is when you feel disconnected from your own well-being, from your own vision, you are not able to see the long term, and everything is about now. Things feel dry. You don't feel, as I said, very present. It all feels just very mechanical. So you're going through the motions. You're doing the day to day, but it isn't working as well as it should do. So, which of these three, again, do you experience the most? Is it having that packed diary? What's the warning? Is it constantly firefighting, constantly everything's urgent, and it just never feels like there's a let up? Or, your own well being is always at risk, your own self care, there's not very much enjoyment, there's not very much that you are enjoying or creative as well, because again, we need to water ourselves. So, a little bit of time to think about that. Again, if you're watching this on the replay, do pop a comment to, yeah, to say which of these are you recognizing. Okay, so the cost of overwhelm, being chronically overwhelmed, like you said, there's always going to be moments maybe where something comes up and we go, and then you can take a step back and then you move through it. But being in that constant cycle of pressure, too much, and drowning constantly, when we're feeling fuzzy, costs clarity, creativity, health, and joy as well, whether it's business or in our personal lives. And that can really affect us as leaders on our growth. We can miss out on opportunities and we can feel burnt out. So, again, a little poll, a little check in for you. Where does your overwhelm impact you most? Do you get on business mode and you stop everything creative, you stop everything fun, you start dropping the ball on things chronically, you shut yourself away? Is it your health? Is it your relationships? Again, do you kind of, again, stop seeing people and get isolated? Again, time and a place for that. But where's the one thing? What's the let up for you? What suffers the most when it comes to overwhelm? And as I said, is it about no routine, so you give up on the things that help and support you to grow? So, what we're going to do here is a quick audit, an interactive exercise. And again, if you are watching on the replay, you can stop and pause the recording. And then, as I said, come back to this as well while you do this. And this is something that is, you can use really regularly as part of your toolkit, and as a regular exercise. So, stop, get pen and paper, take some time, and then just, again, noting how you're feeling. Because again, it's really important about naming it and being really aware of what causes things, what leads up to things, and what you can do to put in place to move forward. So, if we, as I said, first of all, what we're going to do is get your pen and paper, or if you're using a device, but pen and paper works really, really well. If you've got a journal that you like, this is great to use, and write down what your top three things that are causing you stress right now. It could be a particular decision, a particular thing that's about to happen, a particular thing that you're worried about, particular event. Think about what it is and sort of really name that. So write down next to each three of the things whether you consider it urgent or important or both. So that's kind of the next step of that. And then think of one thing, if solved, that would make everything easier. So, what's one action or one thing on that list out of the three things you've identified that would just make everything simpler? And again, as a little extra, again, think about, what are some things you can put in place that would change it? That would make that situation. So, is it about getting help? Is it about adding something, taking something away to really support you on that journey a little bit more? And then take a minute, as I said, to really reflect and look at it. One thing as well that's definitely for sure is when we write down when we journal, when we put things on paper, it makes things much, much easier and simpler. So just by going through this process, it really supports us to be able to, that problem halved. And it could be talking about it, could be the action that you're going to take, it could be that you're going to do one step that's going to move you closer. So again, think about what is it that you can do, what are the three stresses, and how can you move forward from this as well. Okay, so now, as I said, as we kind of approach the latter part of this, so how does it feel when you name it? As I said, again, it tells us that when we label our emotions, we're able to say, this is how I'm feeling, this is why I'm feeling, this is what I'm experiencing, and it can help us to really calm the brain stress response. So it takes it from being inside our head or trapped in the unknown, now out and out in the world, and even just on paper. As we start to sort of work through the solutions, we start to realize it's not going to kill us. It's not, there is a way out. There is a possibility, and by walking yourself through that process, again, you start to see the stages. Well, actually, I could do this, or this actually, is not as bad as this. So it's often called the name it to tame it. And again, we're talking about Dr. Dan Siegel. That was a phrase that he used quite a bit. And as I said, you can check out his work on there. So when we acknowledge overwhelm, so I'm feeling overwhelmed because, again, from a neuroscience perspective, we activate the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of our brain, and that's the part for responsible for rational thinking, for decision making. So it helps put those processes in place. It helps us to really look realistically and objectively at things, and then we can move our nervous system into psychological safety, out of fight, flight, or freeze. And as I said, when the amygdala is starting to work and it's telling us that there's danger or that we're being consumed by something. And again, for leaders and for people, again, it shows us that if we take time to self reflect, to journal, to stop, to pause, to really be aware of our emotions and what's happening, and then it helps us to better regulate our nervous system. When we're in that feeling of autopilot, again, we are stressed, but actually, what we want to do is develop some tools, put some tools in place so that we can come back. And movement is really important as well. Again, you find your way that works for you. So whether it's breathing, whether it's pausing, whether it's having a moment to move, to get in nature, to get in fresh air, to sip a cup of tea, or a cold beverage, or do sport, go to the gym. Think about what you pray, close your eyes, meditate. Think about your way that is going to help you to move forward. And again, as I said, this is not just a nice thing to have, it's actually really important. And, from a neuroscience perspective, a really key and important thing, especially if you are leading yourself, a team, family, group, whatever it is. It's really important tools to help you. So, again, deep breath is really important as well. So, try this now. So, if you're taking slow, deep breath in, and then name what you're experiencing. So it could be that if you are feeling under pressure, you're feeling anxious. Again, if you breathe in, breathe out pressure. In, breathe out. And then that just helps to take our breathing, take our state, and shift. As I said, we've all got our own ways, but these are just some of the ways. So if you're feeling, again, any shifts, any changes, when you breathe, just share how you're feeling as well. Okay, so some practical things as we prepare to get to the end of this live, at the end of this training today, is think about 3 ways that you can start to reduce your overwhelm this week. So first of all, number one thing is boundaries. So if there are things, notice your energy, notice how you're feeling when it comes to particular tasks. There are some things obviously that are essential, that are key, that are part of what we need to do, but look at the extra weight maybe that you're carrying. Maybe there are some extra things, maybe there are some faster ways to do things, or extra things, as I said, that you're carrying on or you're taking on that actually, by making these adjustments, might lighten the load. There could be support that you could get, and actually the boundary of saying, I'm not going to take that on, but actually, what I'm going to do is delegate a little bit better. So that's the first thing. The second thing that's going to help us when in to reduce overwhelm is systems. So that could be putting a process together using some AI, having structure, scheduling, using technology, delegating, as I said, one reoccurring task, using something to really support you and get that organization happening. And then well-being. So what's one non-negotiable self-care task, something that you're going to do for you, or something that you're going to weave into your day that's going to support your well-being, your mind, your body, your physical, your spirit, like whatever it is, that's going to really help you for you. That is your non-negotiable. Now, even if you have 5 minutes, you have 2 minutes, you have 10, you have an hour. It doesn't need to be a massage or whatever. It could be getting out in nature. It could be doing a puzzle, doing something fun. So, what are you going to commit to this week? What's one action? And again, would love to hear from you. What's the action that you are going to be completing for this week? And it can change, it can vary, but again, it's really important to schedule it as well. That's a really good thing. Schedules are key. So, right. So that's almost the end of our workshop for today. But again, I'm pleased to be sharing that on the 11th of September, I'm going to be doing an Overwhelm Audit Workshop. So we're going to go deeper into this topic. There's going to be more practical strategies, more exercises, and again, it's going to be on Zoom, so we'll be more of us together. And again, if you're watching this on the replay and you would like the information to join, send me a message, or just drop audit, and then I will send you a copy of the link so you can sign up and you can join. So again, if this is something you want to know more about, I'll share the details so you can join. As I said, it's going to be an hour, so much more in depth than today, and we've cracked the surface, so we'll be going through a little bit more of that. That is going to be on the 11th of September. And again, I'll be talking more about my 6-week CEO mastery program at the workshop, and that's designed to help you lead with clarity, confidence, and calm without burnout. So we're going to be again together for 6 weeks, and again, I'll be sharing more about that. But if you want to get on the early guest list to hear a little bit more about that, then again, pop me a message or comment, and I can share more about that if you want to hear more about what we cover, how it works, and all of that good stuff. So again, if you have questions, you have comments or thoughts, I would love to hear from you now. So what's your biggest overwhelm trigger right now? What's helped you manage stress in the past? So again, drop your thoughts, questions, and let's discuss. If you've got a quick tip or something that really works for you, again, would love for you to share it, and then we can all work together and see what wisdom everyone has and learn from each other. Okay, so thank you very much for joining and for spending this time with me. As I said, if you hopping on the replay as well, would love to hear from you. Again, if there's anyone that you think would love to receive this, or you want to share with anyone, tag them. Do share this video as well. And don't forget the Overwhelm Audit Workshop is going to be Thursday the 11th of September, 7 o'clock UK time. Messaging me for your invite, and your worksheet and all the things that you need to get ready will be on Zoom. As I said, there's the link and registration link is available. I'll pop that in the comments as well, but you can message me. So wishing you a very calm and focused week ahead. And again, if you need any more resources or you want to follow up on any of the topics for today, then do get in touch. Thank you very much. Goodbye.